I'm not much for giving inspirational addresses, but I'd like to just point out that, again, we must fly together as we heal as a team now or die as individuals. I look at you and I see two men, but being perfect is not about being able to look your friends in the eye and know that it's all in the hips. Remember, our deepest fears is not that we are inadequate, but if you believe you can dodge a wrench, then with clear eyes, we blitz all night. It's the best coaches from movies and TV coming up next on Least Important Things. Welcome to a podcast called Least Important Things, a show about movies, friendship, and finding meaning in the most important of the least important things. I'm your host, Luke Ferris. Right now, we're in one of the best seasons of the year for a sports fan. Football is in full swing. The fall college sports are here. European club soccer, MLB playoffs, the NBA and NHL are returning to action. So I felt like today's episode, we're going to discuss, and it's rather fitting to discuss, best coaches from movies and TV. Well, joining my bench, my squad today, first, of course, is Mike Wynne, at Mike Wynne on Letterboxd. Mike, how are you? How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm fired up.
You're fired up. I can tell. You're motivated. You're ready to go. You're ready to run through a brick wall for this podcast.
Yeah, I'd run through a brick wall. I just look at the guy next to me and I'm saying I'm playing for him.
Yes. Mike, what's your experience with coaching? What's your level? What's your resume?
I have coached. I do have some coaching experience.
I have coached. That's on your byline. Mike Wynne.
That's
I have coached.
My LinkedIn page says
Yes.
I have coached. So like professional coaching, like interns and stuff, that
Oh,
have worked
no,
under
no,
me.
like sports coaching, not business
Oh.
coaching. No, not business development. This is like real
Sports
sports
coaching.
coaching.
Man. Okay, so
All right, we're going to bring a new
am-
guest in. We're going to bring a new guest in with real professional skills. It's a friend of the show, Tucker Bidding. Welcome, Tucker.
Hey, Luke. Great to be here. Excited about the conversations we're going to have tonight, and great to get on here with you, Mike.
Well, we had to
Yeah.
bring in a real coach, and Tucker's a real coach, assistant volleyball coach at Ball State, and so he actually knows what he's talking about. And we couldn't decide who are the best coaches in movies and TV without a real expert. Sorry, Mike. Sorry to cut
No,
you
it's
off.
good.
Did you
This
have
is
some
actually-
experience?
This is helpful because I do coach a college basketball team, and
no.
I would love to actually get Tucker's insight into some coaching challenges I'm having right now. So I'm the coach of a college basketball team called the Ann Arbor Smells, and right now we're having a rough season. We're 7-6, and I'm having a difficult time getting through these guys. Tucker, what would you say to a team that's just struggling to hover above 500?
You got to find a common denominator to move forward and make improvements every day. 7-6, not terrible. Certainly something you can build on, but I think you got to look at what are some common denominators that you can start from to make improvements, and then find a way to focus on those things.
So common denominator I have with all my guys is they're completely fictional.
Okay.
Yeah, they're
Well, that's a denominator. You've got something.
I knew this was going to actually, I didn't know this was going to happen, but as soon as you started talking, Mike, I knew I'd set myself up. This is the last thing I wanted to bring up on this show. Do you want to give context for the listeners, viewers, and for Tucker of
Yeah,
the
very
original?
quick.
Yes.
I
If you
coach
can
in
do it short. I don't know
I
if you
can.
can
I
explain
can.
it. Okay.
Think fantasy football, but college basketball, and
Sure.
all the players and teams are made up.
Okay.
Does that clear it up?
Yeah, I was hoping that you did like create a team on like EA NCAA basketball.
Oh, no,
no.
that would be reasonable.
well-
that would actually make a lot of sense.
Well,
No,
I
this
was
is,
really, you
this
were
is-
going to have a ton of respect for me if that's what you were talking about, because that was golden era of video games, was when they made all of the NCAA games.
Yeah. No,
Um,
this is actually far more nerdy.
Yeah,
It's
it's a level down.
It's like an RNG game, the random number
Sure.
generator, that I play on a website with about 300 other real people who all coach
real
college
people.
basketball teams. And
Sure.
yeah, it's all like run on a spreadsheet.
This is called Sim Sports, right? Is that correct?
Sim Sports, www.drivethelane.com.
Shout out to Sim
Okay.
Sports and everyone who's still playing there. That are real people. They you know what, I do have to say, I actually have met other people who play this. But Mike, as much as that is real, there's real people. We're going to talk about some fictional people today, some people that are based off of real people in movies and television. I can't move faster away from Sim Sports. But before we dive into our discussion, whether it's your first time listening or watching, maybe you're a Sim Sports fan and you heard you talking about it on the show and you're here, welcome, thank you. Please remember to subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast and on YouTube so you don't miss any episodes of Least Important Things every Tuesday. You can also connect with us at leastimportantthings.com. You can email the show at leastimportantthings@gmail.com, TikTok at leastimportantthings, and you can connect with me on Instagram at Luke H. Ferris or on Letterboxd at Luke H. Ferris. Tucker, are you on Letterboxd? We got to get you on there.
I am not.
I am not. You need to prioritize some things in your life. I know you're a dad. I know you're a coach. You're a very busy man. But being on Letterboxd, that should be up there with your next priorities. And then I guess Sim Sports.
Put it on the list. Yeah, maybe Sim Sports will be.
Friends, we also have a Patreon where you can become a free member to receive email alerts about new episodes, video updates, exclusive conversations. Maybe Mike will have some updates on the Sim Sports teams, breakdowns, and additional information about the episodes. For the same price as a cup of coffee or a Slurpee at a high school basketball game, you can become a friend of the show and get a Least Important Things sticker. For those watching on YouTube, exclusive content and more special surprises to come. Supporting the show helps us cover the cost of production tools and make more episodes. Visit patreon.com/leastimportantthings to learn more. And most importantly, this is an independent podcast, and the best way you can help the show is by recommending it to somebody. So please, whether you're at an orchard sipping hot cider this fall or at a player-only meeting, please recommend Least Important Things, which if you're at a player-only meeting and you're bringing up podcasts, I think you're losing focus on the goal. Tucker, before we talk about these best fictional coaches and these coaches from movies and TV, I wanted to ask you about the quality of a coach and the qualities of a coach we should look for when we're talking about these coaches from movies and television. So what are the main qualities of a great coach that you've seen in your, not only in your colleagues, but opponents being in the industry?
Yeah, I think there's a few things, and I think certainly this would be within the scope of a competitive coach. I think when you're talking about coaching little kids, there's certainly a different
which some of the coaches we'll talk about today. They coach
certainly,
kids, but also maybe
certainly,
adults.
but I think some of these things are important for everybody. But I think the best people that I've been around have been really good at a few things, and I think a couple of those. One is that they're great learners and teachers, and so certainly there's an aspect of coaching that is teaching. I think some people have gotten away from that, and certainly in my realm, within college sports, some of those things just don't exist as much as they used to because there's a lot of other things at play. But, the great people who I've been around are great teachers and great learners. They're trying to understand the game, whatever it is that they're coaching, whatever it is that they're doing. They're trying to learn more about how they can be really good and help their players be great. They're learning from other people in their sport, but also from other coaches, other leaders, different things like that. So, I think that goes both ways, right? You're a learner and a teacher, and those things go hand in hand. And then I think, two other qualities that I think about is just being consistent. The best people I've been around have been the same person every day, and that doesn't change. They may have issues going on, things going on, but they're the same way every day in the gym, in meetings, during games. Consistency can help build confidence in your players. And I think the best people who I've been around have been consistent. And some people are consistently calm and under control, and some people are consistently on edge. But I do think there's a reality to being the same all the time. And I know great coaches who are really edgy and loud and people who are edgy but quiet. And I think you don't have to fit a certain mold. And certainly, we've seen that in great coaches in all sports. And you're going to have different personalities, but being consistently the same is a big thing. And then I think the last thing is just being a provider, providing what your athletes need. And again, when you're talking about the highest level of the NFL, like those, or the NBA or whatever it is, it's different. But when you're talking about a high school, college club, anything like that, I think providing what is needed from a training standpoint, but also just in a sense, in an emotional capacity. And it's certainly not a deep one most of the time, but you have to coach kids differently. That didn't used to be a thing, but it's just the reality now. And honestly, it's more beneficial, and there's greater fruit that comes from it. So I think being able to provide for them in kind of what they need as far as how they have to be talked to, or what's best for coaching them. Those are the things that I see as pretty consistently on the list of great coaches.
We're going to talk about some coaches today that make some mistakes. Some are probably a little bit more dramatic than the regular type of coaching that happens in the real world outside of movies and TV. But what mistakes do you see coaches regularly make?
Well, I talked about it. I think being inconsistent is one of the easiest ways to lose a group or lose an athlete. And certainly there's some grace with that. I think, when things are going on or it's the heat of the moment, things can happen and maybe you get a little bit outside of yourself. And I think there's space for that. But I think when you're up and down a lot, or really just riding emotional waves, it creates difficulties for your team to not only improve, but I think also to be able to be successful in difficult situations or high intensity situations, stressful situations. And if you're not consistent and they're trying to ride the wave with you, generally you're going to have less success than somebody who's more consistent. And I think just not understanding how to really teach, I think is a big thing. I hear coaches all the time, and even in our capacity at our level, but certainly at lower levels, just getting upset with kids not doing what they're asking. And the reality is, generally that's on us as coaches, and certainly, I think all athletes learn at different levels and different capacities. But one of the best people I've ever been around told me, you haven't taught it unless they've learned it. And so, if they're having trouble understanding or they're not getting it, the reality is, as coaches, we have to take responsibility for that and figure out how they can learn the best. And then we have to give them opportunities to do it. And so often that's not the case. Coaches tell them one way, somebody understands it, somebody else doesn't, and they move on. And, those kids may end up being better, but they just needed a different avenue to learn it, or they needed a little bit more time to figure it out. And so I think those are the biggest things, that I see. And that's in my sport, and from coaches and that I'm around, things that I hear, things that I see. But, consistency, and then just the ability to teach and have an understanding that kids learn in different ways.
Is that tied to the concept of sometimes the best athletes don't make the best coaches? Is it because they don't really know how to teach because they're at that next level? Or is that more of just stigma?
Well, you're going to get me on a different tangent about athletes, but no, I don't think it's like a normal thing. I do think some people are just so good at picking things up within sport and just have a natural ability. And not some of them, obviously, they can run really fast, or they just have incredible hand-eye coordination, or they're just incredibly gifted in some other ways. And so you see them, it's like, man, this is a great athlete. They could do all these things. But the reality is, like, at the highest level, it's like the people who are doing it are the best in the world, and there's really nobody that's close to them, right? Like, they always have that argument about, could the NBA players play in the NFL? It's like, the reality is there's maybe a handful, maybe. And so I think a lot of the people are just they're gifted in some way, and some of them just have a knack for figuring it out faster and easier than other people. And a lot of times those are the people that have success. And so sometimes if they've not had good teachers around them, just people who have put them in good situations, then maybe they don't understand how to communicate it well enough, or they're not patient with people who take longer. Some people just learn at different speeds, and there's some people who took a long time to figure it out. And when they did, they were incredible. But there may have been some who gave up on them early because it was just taking too long. So I don't know. I don't think that's just it is or it isn't, but I think there can be some trouble with that if you've just always had a natural ability to figure something out.
All right, let's move on to movies and TV. There's probably a lot here that we could talk about and we will talk about, but to you, being someone who's lived and breathed coaching in sport at a high level, what's the most unrealistic thing about coaches in movies and TV?
This was hard. I thought about this a lot, and I honestly think there's a lot of things. I think there's a lot of things they get right. Certainly, they can't cover everything. One of the things that I think is a lot harder than maybe what they let on, even though I think can be part of the actual plot of the movie or the TV show, is how hard it is to build really good culture and sustain it. And it's a lot harder now than it probably was 20 years ago. There's just a lot of, at least in our game, there's so much more outside influence, but with the existence of the transfer portal and different things like that, and now people can get paid, like there's just so much coming and going. And I think the ones who can set a precedent and do it well, regardless of people doing that, are unbelievably impressive. And I do think, again, like it becomes a part of the plot, and like the story of how did they make this work. I think it's even harder than what that is portrayed, but there are certainly things that get talked about, like the stressors that it puts on your life and your family and different things like that I do think some of those shows and movies have done a good job of talking about. Certainly they don't talk about all the mundane things that go into coaching. That's kind of like
that's what the
montage
montage
I think
is
everybody
for.
assumes, but it is certainly something that they don't talk about that is
like game film. Like, is it like watching game
yeah,
film?
I mean, watching film, but I mean, just the logistics. And again, like at the highest level, coaches aren't doing that, but like at our level, it's like, helping with figuring travel out and working camps and like doing all these things that we do in our sphere. And it's very normal. There's a lot of work outside of actually just coaching in the gym that goes into our job. So that's kind of like a funny one, but I do think, building and sustaining quality culture that helps move your program in the right direction is something that's incredibly difficult.
That's interesting. It's a different direction than I thought you might have gone. Although I think that is a really good answer, one I didn't really consider. I actually thought about, and you tell me if you see this in movies compared to your life as a coach, but what about how movies portray having difficult conversations with those that you're coaching? Seems that in movies, there's always a positive reaction to a really difficult conversation.
Yeah, I'll say this kind of just as a caveat. I'm not the boss, and so a lot of times those hard conversations fall into the boss's job description. And so but certainly they are not, it's not always sunshine and daisies. And honestly, I would say it's probably more so towards the other side of it. And it's just, again, there's a lot of things, and I can't speak to like a professional setting. And I think those conversations are different, right? Like, hey, you're either part of this or you're not. You signed a contract, and if you don't uphold those, you're out. It's not really, it's different. And certainly for us, there's some things that are starting to trend that way a little bit. If the players are getting compensated, there's things that can be written into contracts now for that. But I think just on a kind of in a realm apart from all of that, It's hard. You have to have conversations. Athletes that aren't playing want to know why they're not and how they can play, and people who are getting playing time and then lose it. And it's hard not to have perceptions of the way conversations go. You could go into it, and Mike, you and I could be having this conversation, and I could have all of these things written out, and they're fair and they're right, and I can back it up with a bunch of statistics and things, and you know, I can talk to you in a healthy manner, and man, you could walk out of that and just think one thing that I said was something totally different than I intended, and that can put a huge strain on what the team's doing, especially if that person goes and talks about it, or shares it with somebody else. And so uh, sometimes those things can have a great outcome, but certainly there are times where it's stagnant, or maybe the opposite, where it can actually be detrimental if it's not handled correctly.
Yeah, in FIFA, when my players come to me and demand more playing time,
How do you
it
deal
gives
with
me
that? Yeah, how do you deal with that,
three
Mike?
options. Give me three options, and one is like a more aggressive tone, and one is like more of like a more softer tone, and then one is like a rah rah tone. And normally, what I've discovered is that if I choose the aggressive tone, it always backfires. But I can always rah rah, and it always boosts their morale. And so that's my
Yeah, that's
input.
really applicable. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
If Now, Mike, I don't know how much has Luke has shared with you about this, but um, some of my greatest coaching accomplishments have come via FIFA manager mode, and I'm quite famous in
Yeah.
our group chat for some of the income lines that have come out of my teams at the end of the year. So if you ever want to talk about that, I'd be more than happy.
I think we should
Rob
have. I
Rob
think me and
Rob
you
would
should
get
have.
really mad at me when I would share that stuff with him. So
Yeah, we
uh,
should we should have a separate chat, just you and I, where we just share the profits we've
Yeah,
made on
that'll
players
be
we've
for the
developed.
Patreon. That'll be for the Patreon.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
funny when
No, I would love that.
for listeners, friends of the show, Rob Burkheiser, he's part of the My Only Soccer Watching group chat, which is we did a full episode on that season 2 or 1 or 2, I believe. But sometimes Tucker will like give updates on his team, and I when I scan read, I think it's about the team that we love, Tottenham Hotspur. For those watching on YouTube, I have the scarf, and so like I'll read it, I'm like, wait, what happened? And no, it's a FIFA update, so it's good.
It's
It
just
keeps
me.
me on my toes, and then in some ways. And we're going to talk about it with movies and TV, like the fantasy aspect, the unreal aspect, it's so much more controllable and less chaotic. There's like a purpose to it. There's like a storyline to it, where in real life, it's not always like that. Okay, gentlemen, let's move on to the Leasties and Besties of coaches. But before that, I do want to ask, I didn't do this part of my research, but is there like a great volleyball sports movie out there? Tucker, do you know? Maybe Mike can do some
No,
research.
there is not.
That's a
There's
shame.
one or two. What's that one called?
Because like you could do beach
There's one that
volleyball, you could
people
do
like.
team volleyball.
Yeah, there's a beach volleyball one.
which makes
Can't
sense
remember
for
what it's
Hollywood.
called. It's not good. I mean, the most famous. I mean, you guys could just rip this one off the cuff. I'm sure you know it. It's like the most famous volleyball scene in any movie that people would know.
Is Top Gun.
Top Gun.
No. Oh well, I was gonna say, remember the Fokker or Meet the Fockers, right?
Well, sure, in the pool. I think
The
the
pool.
Top Gun one's a little bit
Top
more
Gun one,
infamous,
but the pool one's pretty good too.
the pool one's funny. But
That's the
certainly,
first one. Meet the Parents, I believe, right? At
Oh, yeah,
Owen
Meet the
Wilson's
Parents,
house.
yeah.
Yeah. So Meet the
Yeah.
Parents and Top Gun. Those are the two most iconic volleyball
the
scenes.
volleyball scene, certainly for sure. So
Okay, here's what I'm proposing based off of our conversation. These questions, we need a office type workplace sitcom of a volleyball team, maybe like a club volleyball team.
So I do have a list.
Tucker,
of
let's
some
do
of-
it. Let's greenlight it.
I have a list
One
of
of
some
them-
of the top indoor volleyball movies ever made.
Okay, hit me.
It's a short list. 1990s Side Out.
Side out. It's a good title.
2006's All You've Got, which is an MTV original movie starring Sierra,
Okay.
the musical artist.
Yes.
And then 2018's The Miracle Season, which is based on the true story of the Iowa City West High girls team rallying after the death of their star setter.
Wow.
I don't know what I read. Was that a real thing, Tucker?
I think
Is setter a thing?
Yeah. It's a quarterback. As easily as I can put that. Yeah.
What's the libero again? Can you explain that for our listeners?
Yeah. So, there's typically 6 people, or there's 6 people on the court. And they rotate around. So a libero is a backcourt only player. So they cannot play in the front row. And they have a different rule for substitution. So typically, if you sub in and out, it counts for a substitution. Different levels have different rules on how many you get per set. But liberos can come in and out without using a sub. And so typically, liberos play for your 2 worst passers and defenders. So typically they will come in for the middles. So one middle will play through the 3 rotations in the front row while the libero plays the 3 in the back. And then when the middle rotates back to serve, if the other middle comes on, then the libero can either serve for one of them or come off in the middle serve. So there's some other caveats to it. That's the easiest way I can explain it. They are a back row player only. Typically, they're your best passer and defender. That's not always the case. Sometimes some of the attackers are really good passers and defenders as well. But the liberos, they also wear the other color jersey. So
that's right.
There's typically people on the court, and there's always one person, or there can only be one libero on the court at one time. But like in high school and in college, you can have 2 liberos marked on your team. So, but only one of them can be on the court at a time.
Yeah, my wife tells me I have my libero is too low.
No, that's libido, Mike. That's libido.
Oh, libido. I'm sorry.
Yeah, yes.
That's a joke coaching females that I cannot use. So I'll let you keep that one for
that
if you ever coach a male team. Yeah, but that's I can't use that joke, but I like it. I like the creativity. It's good.
All right, ready to get into it. The Leasties and Besties of coaches before we have another poorly timed pun. Here we go. Starting out with Leasties. All right, gentlemen. The first category here is coach you'd least likely want to coach your kids. We have Phil and Buck Weston from Kicking and Screaming. Coach Joe from Bend It Like Beckham, who hits on, I think, multiple of the girls on that team. Coach Sandoval Hines. This is a shout out. This is Keegan Michael Keel's character from Mad TV. So shout out to Coach Hines. Bobby Finstock. This is played by Jay Therese in the original Teen Wolf, but there also was a TV show. And then we also have Coach Morris Buttermaker, played by Walter Matthau in Bad News Bears. You could also add Billy Bob Thornton there for the remake. And then Coach Pete Bell, Nick Nolte in Blue Chips. Coach you'd least likely want to coach your kids. Any of those stand out to you, gentlemen?
This one was tough. Some of those I have not seen in quite some time. Pete Bell's a hilarious one. Have you seen Blue Chips, Luke? Have you ever watched that movie?
No, I've never seen Blue Chips. But
you have to put that on your list. It's incredible.
But Nick Nolte, I'm very familiar with Nick Nolte.
Yeah, so good. And honestly, his character is not like he's doing everything he can to like illegally get all these players.
And that's with Shaq, correct? Isn't
Shaq, Penny Hardaway? It's an incredible cast, and it's a great movie. I think Bob Knight has a cameo in it. I think like they paid him a bunch of money to be in it.
Sounds about right.
And like some of the IU players. So,
can I make a great Bob movie. Knight, since Bob Knight's in this movie, can I say that Bob Knight's the coach I'd lose like
Bob Knight, of course, coaching
yes,
kids, also probably a good person. But yeah, Nick Nolte, he's trying to do everything he can. He's handing black bags to people and paying for new tractors and new houses and all the things.
Which is kind of like it's almost romantic now, like that era.
It is.
There's that 30 for 30 about SMU, the Miami 90s Miami teams, where now we're living the era, like you mentioned, not NIL, where it's these movies that are capturing this like very dark, sinister side of college sports is now like, oh yeah, remember that? Now it's just all.
It's just what's happening.
It's already it's happening now. It's not a big deal.
So for me, it's kind of that, because it was people didn't want to talk about it when that movie was made, that all those things were happening. It was all, hush hush, and so I think that was a cool way that they did that movie. And honestly, again, the cast was great. The way they did that movie was it was kind of suspenseful, and he was on edge the whole time trying to make it work and build this team to win. So for me, I think that's that one. I'm not familiar. If I've seen Bend It Like Beckham, it's been 25 years probably.
It's worth a rewatch. It's a great one.
Well, the way you described that character, I would think he should be at the top of the list.
He's
so I'm going to go
tough.
ahead and leave him at the top.
I would say
based on
actually
what you said.
a character who's not on this list is on a list further down this for the pod is Bud Kilmer, John Voight's character in Varsity Blues.
Yes, just John Voight in general. I would not want...
Exactly right.
I think Phil and Buck Weston would be fun to have coaching your kids just from an entertainment level. To have Will Ferrell out there, I think it would be interesting. But like, if you actually want, like in reality, that's one of those great movies where it's so funny to be there. But like, if you actually had a kid on one of those teams of the dad and son going after it, it would be a nightmare. But as an audience member, we're not in it. We're just watching it.
Coach Hines is a good one because not only is he just a complete hothead, like won't set a good example, just also has no clue what he's doing coaching wise.
Right. That's also it. Like, you would be frustrated as a parent because there would be no there. I think the Bad News Bears idea is like, you could put it down there, but that's the whole point of the movie. So I can't like hurt the movie for that. And then Bobby Finstock from the original Teen Wolf, he's just like your classic 80s gym teacher coach who's just kind of a jerk to that character, our lead character, and but then likes him when he's good at basketball and becomes a wolf. But that's not centered in reality. Okay, what do we think? Coach Joe, probably number one, just from a creepiness level.
Sure.
Okay.
Fair enough.
All right, least likable coach from movies and TV. So this is a coach that you either love to despise or that is a really good villain, the villain coach from movies and TV. Nate the Great from Ted Lasso. Oh, my goodness, that one of the worst betrayals in all of movies and TV, especially sports. Jim Grimshaw, this is the racist coach from Remember the Titans who calls Coach Boone a derogatory term. Ooh, that's a good one. Like, because you already are motivated as a viewer to root for the Titans, and then when he has a TV interview, he calls out Coach Boone. It's even better. But Coach Boone has the last laugh. So there's a lot of pretty much all the villain coaches are good and Remember the Titans. Or bad but good.
Bad, yeah.
And then we also have Martin Cove. John Kreese in The Karate Kid. That's pretty good. We don't think about coaches typically in Olympic sports or like martial arts, but he's tough to beat. He is. You really hate him.
All these are good. I actually I'm kind of with Mike at Bud Kilmer. Varsity Blues is a movie I loved. My brother's 5 years older than me, and I remember watching that movie probably earlier than I should have. But that movie is incredible. Is so good, and I think he has to be it here.
I like it.
He is the most unlikable coach in one of those, like, I just always about himself, doesn't actually care about the kids, lies about it, cheats, does whatever he can. But I think he belongs in this one.
I love it.
The other ones are great.
Let's bring him up.
Yeah, I think I'm with Mike on that. I feel like he belongs in some of these heavier categories. But Nate is hard for me because I understand like the villain part of it, and it was like hard to stomach when he turned, but the redeeming conversation with Beard when Beard comes to his apartment and does all this stuff, like, it's hard to see him in that light. And I don't like to think about when it was like dark and he was bad and horrible, because he was trying so hard to be somebody he wasn't. And so he was a super villain for a little chunk of that.
It's one of the worst betrayals like I remember in a TV show. Like,
and I don't like it.
No,
like
I
really understand the part of the story. I don't like to rewatch that part.
Yeah,
just because it's almost beyond like good writing to where it's just not enjoyable.
All right, I like bringing John Voight up in the categories for Bud Kilmer. Let's
He might. I mean, I honestly think he could win in each one of these Leasty categories.
he's really up there in the Leasties.
But he is unlikable. I mean, it's
that's
incredible.
That's the whole crux of really the movie, and it's hard to have him because he's the coach of the team that you're supposed to be behind too, and that's also the one of the great uses of sports as a construct. We didn't really talk about, and maybe that's a different episode. We can have you back, Tucker, about like the sports movie in general.
Sure.
There's especially we live in the modern era. There's so much more access, footage, that there's so many great sports documentaries. That's really the problem. We talked about it in the best Chicago movies. Hoop Dreams, one of the best sports movies of all time, is a documentary. The documentary format fits so well with sports because sports are entertainment and storytelling. So it's always difficult to transition that to TV or movies because it's not as entertaining as what's actually happening in real life. But this is a great way to use an evil character in the context of Texas football in the South. All right, coach you'd least likely want to come up against. This is a coach, if you were either coaching the team or maybe your kid was on the team or you were playing on the team, that you're like, oh man, you look on your schedule, I do not want to face that coach. It would be like facing Nick Saban in Peak, Alabama if you're a young but really sad Michigan State team who meets them in a bowl game. Good times. Coach you'd least likely want to come up against. Herb Brooks, played by Kurt Russell, Miracle. We will be talking about Herb Brooks a lot. Ken Carter, played by Samuel L. Jackson and Coach Carter. Tony D'Amato, this is Al Pacino from Any Given Sunday. And then Wolf the Dennis Stenson, the Iceland coach from D2 Mighty Ducks. That is my list of coach you'd least likely want to come up against. Any of those stand out? All very intimidating on the sidelines.
Mike, I'm curious as your answer on this one because I've got a clear one for me, but I'm curious if I'm just way off from everybody else.
So like mine again is not on this list.
Ooh, that's all right. Bring it up.
It's Coach Tyrell, who is the coach of the team that the Titans play against in the championship game.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
He's like this like God that walks amongst men kind of thing.
And he's like one he's not racist. He's like not like a
he's
villain.
Not racist. He's actually by everything you learn in the movie, let's say, you would actually he might be a coach that you would really love your kid to play against, but he is so in the similar category of like Herb Brooks, he's just so good at coaching.
And do they run the shotgun?
Yeah, they run the shotgun.
What do you think they are, the New York Jets?
Yeah, exactly. I love that line.
And the cool thing about him, and I love this in sports movies, when it's actually pretty subtle in Remember the Titans, but he's mentioned throughout the season.
Yeah.
And it's like this looming figure where our two hero coaches, they've been around the game enough that they know that if they eventually get to the state finals, like he will be there. So, and if you've ever been in like a high school football community, Shannon, friend of the pod, her high school that she went to, they had a very famous coach called Ralph Munger. And it was kind of like that. Everyone knew in the area, no matter what, like you would face Ralph Munger. They'd get to the semis at least or the finals every year for like 2 decades. And it was just everyone knew if you were in the game in high school football in West Michigan or Michigan, you knew Munger and Rockford. They were synonymous. And it reminds me of that.
I like that pick. What was I don't think that the high school, I don't think they called them the actual name of the team they played in the finals. Were they Marshall in the they were Marshall. That's what they called them. I don't think that's the actual team they played, but
in real life.
That's a great that's a great pick. This is I like a lot of these. Ken Carter is like my obvious one for me, just from my point of view, and just that story's so good. I mean, Samuel L. Jackson's just unbelievable.
It's
the way that he builds that out, and like just the storyline, like that he talks to all these guys, and then throughout it's like the parents get mad at him a little bit, and then by the end, they bring the tables in and take the test in the gym, before they go. So they do all these things, but it's all of that, like his motivational ability plus his ability to like coach and like get the most out of them. And talking about, I love that scene when they ask him, at the beginning of their first game, like, what do you want us to do? And he's like, run. Because, they don't understand all this training they've been doing. Like, they just been running and running and running and running. And they thought that he was going to make them pass the ball 35 times. And, they asked him, he's like, I want you to run. And so I can't imagine playing a team with that good of athletes that's in that good of shape in a basketball match. Or in a basketball game, that would be incredibly difficult. So, but Coach Tyrell is a great answer.
I'm going to concur.
You have one in that, Luke?
I'm concurring because I think obviously like with the way he's coaching, and then I have to add the actor there, and to see Samuel L. Jackson on the other side of the court, I would just be peeing my pants. So
Intimidating.
I have to throw that down there. So I'm gonna give it to Ken Carter as the coach you'd least likely to want to come up against. But I like that Coach Tyrell bringing that one in. Mike, thanks for doing that. All right, our last Leastie here, least likely to be a winning coach in real life. This is maybe the coach is probably not going to be the best coach if they brought into the sport in reality. Jimmy McGinty, Gene Hackman in The Replacement. Some may argue this because he is charming, but he doesn't seem to really call any plays, no headset. And I also don't think if you're supposed to be a well-renowned coach, that you're going to coach a bunch of replacement players. I just don't believe that in real life. Coach Dinklage, Vinnie Jones from She's the Man. Shout out to that. We have Vinnie Jones, who made his name as an actor in a bunch of really great British action movies, and he's just thrown in here as a private school soccer coach. It just makes no sense. Not that he can't coach soccer, but I just can't see Vinnie Jones coaching a high school in America. Coach Klein, this is Henry Winkler in the beloved movie The Waterboy. It just, I don't think he would do that great in the SEC. Jack Bolton, played by Barton Robert Johnson in the High School Musical trilogy. I'm getting some laughs already. We'll talk about him. Burt Beckerman, this is Jeff Bridges in Stick It, the gymnastics movie. Jeff Bridges, yes, in a gymnastics movie. Connor O'Neill, played by Keanu Reeves in Hardball. And then Ted Lasso, Jason Sudeikis in Ted Lasso. Some controversial ones here. Who's a coach that would least likely to be a winning coach in real life?
I mean, for me, it's Ted Lasso.
Ooh, too much believing, Mike. He's wearing an AFC Richmond shirt.
I know, but I mean, like, come on. The guy is, it's not even that he is like Nick Saban, right?
Yeah.
Coming in and doing it. This guy
but that's
is
why it
literally
works,
like
Mike.
a
That's why it
Division
works.
II
That's why it
coach
works.
From Wichita.
Well, that's funny because the whole premise of Ted Lasso was an NBC Sports promo video for the Premier League. And the joke is that for Spurs, very fitting. And the joke is that he's terrible.
I thought the joke was that it was the Spurs.
No, that's not the joke, Mike.
Oh.
You didn't get it. I think I agree. There's definitely the fantastical part of Ted Lasso is that aspect. I think we are all soccer fans here. The American in the Premier League just at base level is almost impossible as a coach. It's been done twice. Jesse March and Bob Bradley, and they both lasted
less than a season each.
Less than a season, yeah. So I think that's the hard part. If you're a big sports fan, Premier League fan, soccer fan, you know the stigma of Americans in the Premier League, let alone coaches, is very hard to suspend disbelief. But I could for that show. I'm going to talk about Jack Bolton. Jack Bolton apparently is the basketball coach for his son's team. This is East High from High School Musical. Not only is this team supposed to be really good, but unbeknownst to him, his team is doing musical numbers during practice, which I don't know how that's going to prepare. I mean, I guess they were running and moving. And his star player, his son, all 5'6" of him, is simultaneously doing a musical while they're competing for, I think, a district title. I love this character. I love all the interactions. There's a great SNL sketch with Zac Efron where he goes back to East High to give a commencement speech, and the whole bit is that he wasn't good at basketball. The whole East High School, the whole musical aspect is a lie. They're all living a lie. There's no reality where they would win the district finals, which I really appreciate. But Jack Bolton, also just like kind of a cantankerous dad. Like I don't know. Seems like a real douche. So I'm gonna throw Jack Bolton. I don't think he would be that good of a high school basketball coach.
Jack Bolton is a good pick. I Coach Klein. I mean,
it's supposed to be funny, right? Like that's the bucket hat.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
So funny. Scene in there where like flashes back to him like writing all the plays and then not being able to, and like all these things. It's good. I think for the sake of, if my wife were to walk in and look at this list, I have to stand on Coach Dinklage in She's the Man, and how hilarious that is. Incredible movie. Incredible plot line.
Incredible premise.
Should have won an Oscar.
Yes.
Should have won an Oscar. But I'm fine with any of these. There is some reality to like the realness of how much Ted Lasso would just never ever work. So I do respect Mike for taking the hard one there, because that is you don't want to pick that, but I think if you're talking about like legitimately like ones that they tried to make into a real storyline, that's a real thing. There's some, it's hard to like say, but it's very true.
Shout out to Burt Vickerman, Jeff Bridges, and Stick It. It's one of the oddest castings ever to have Jeff Bridges as a gymnastics. It's
very weird.
Where he coaches up a troubled teen who is apparently really good at gymnastics, and now she's. When that movie it made no sense when that movie came out, because that was a different era of gymnastics. I'm not an expert, but I've watched enough like Olympics where like she was way too old to be competitive and like make the U.S. team, but somehow this coach was able to get her back into shape. That's a wild movie. I highly recommend it. And then Connor O'Neill, Keanu Reeves in Hardball, where you have Keanu Reeves coaching at inner city South Side of the Chicago baseball team. It's also a very interesting movie from a performance standpoint. I don't think it's aged very well. Guys, I think Ted Lasso is gonna win this one. I hate to do
Sadly.
it. I think we're all soccer nerds here, and I think we know that is the most unrealistic thing. Where all these other ones you can kind of make an argument, but those are more. I would say a lot of the other ones there's more of a casting issue I have, but the Ted Lasso one is fantastical, and that's the whole point, which makes it fun. So I'm gonna give it to Ted Lasso. All right, let's get positive. Coaches are about positivity, looking forward. Let's move on to besties. Best coach to lead your favorite team. So, gentlemen, think of your favorite team, whether it's your Premier League team, whether it's your college football team, your NFL team, whatever it may be. What's the best coach to lead your favorite team? Like, and let's just say they can transfer to a different sport. So if you want to bring them into a different sport, that is. But I want to just talk about the coach that you're like, yes, this is someone who I'd want to watch press conferences of like every week. Eric Taylor, played by Kyle Chandler in the Friday Night Lights TV show. Herman Boone, Denzel Washington in Remember the Titans. Lou Brown, James Gammon in Major League, and Skip Joe Riggins, Trey Wilson in Bull Durham.
Yeah, I'm going to go off list again here.
There's a lot we could put in here. We could move a lot of these around, so I will allow that.
But you can't call me hypocrite here, but Ted Lasso.
Oh.
Because
that's so good.
If I had Ted Lasso coaching the Lions, I feel like it would make that would make sense, right? Or Michigan State, right? He's a football coach, and a winning football coach at that. It's just the context of him coaching a team in the Premier League. That's the thing that would be unsuccessful. So I would want Ted Lasso leading my favorite American football team.
I love that. I think Dan Campbell has a little Ted Lasso in him. I think there's a lot of crossover there.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
brother. Tucker, what about you?
This is easy. So I have to caveat with this category that are going to fit, I think, in some other things later. This one is easy for me. It's just the most obvious thing. It is 100% Lou Brown.
Yes.
I
Yes.
love all of the Major League movies. Major League, Major League Two, Major League Back to the Minors, incredibly underrated. He is without a doubt, and I just want the entire well, I would like to have
You can make
him.
up the rules. You can pick your staff. You can take the staff with them.
Sure. For sure, because I want Jake Taylor to be there if Lou has another heart attack, to coach the team. But it's Lou Brown. He's the best. Just builds an incredible team of nobodies into a pennant winning team. Goes against the owner who's trying to relocate them. Honestly, would be great for I don't know, like the Rockies right now, or any of the teams in Minnesota.
I'm pretty sure the Tigers did this when they hired Jim Leland.
Jim Leland. I was going to say Jim Leland is one of the greatest comps of Lou Brown, and that's why I wanted to add Lou. You have Lou Brown and Skip Joe Riggins. They are similar, but it's those old school baseball guys that are great in baseball movies.
He is just, and his character. I mean, he just came and played it so well. It's so funny. There's so many one-liners in that movie from him. When he throws Doran's contract on the ground, just takes a piss on it right on the practice field, like that. That is some of the funniest stuff, and it's just Major League laugh out loud funny to me even to this day. I will watch it anytime it's on. So it's Lou Brown for me running away.
I want to give a little context on this when I think best coach lead your favorite team. When I was growing up, I lived in Traverse City, Michigan for most of elementary school, and we had basic cable. If you are a fan and listener of the show, you know a lot of this backstory. And I didn't have access to ESPN or some of the sports channels, but I was a sports nerd. I was craved. So I don't know what day this would be on air, but I used to watch the Central Michigan Football Coaches Show on the local PBS affiliate. And this is pre-Chip Kelly, I believe. Or not, this is pre-Brian Kelly. So that just gives you a little insight to what I care about. I love press conferences. I want a coach that is interesting to listen to, that I feel like I'm excited about. And that's going to bring joy and humor. That's going to be interesting to hear on after the game. They're going to give me either honesty or something inspirational. I appreciate that in a coach. So Lou Brown is also my coach that I want to be on my favorite team, just because I know he's going to give me great sound bites throughout the entire season. So he's definitely the coach I would like to lead my favorite team. I am all about the storylines, all the things around the game I love about sports, and your manager or your coach is a huge part of that because they are the first person that are talked to at halftime, after the game, start of the game, and I'm a sucker for that. So Lou Brown, he wins best coach to lead your favorite team, but a lot of great ones. We could move a lot in the Besties category into this category, for sure. Okay, here's a fun one: best coach for a church softball team. So what is the coach out there that you would love to, and you could replace this with your pickleball team, your volleyball team, anything that's like a casual sport that you play, or it's a adult league. Who's going to come in and coach you up? We have Coach Beard, Brendan Hunt from Ted Lasso, Nate Scaro-Barrow, played by Burt Reynolds in The Longest Yard. I'm going to allow you to take the remake version of him, or you could take the first one. But in my head, I'm thinking of the remake, older version of him. Jimmy Duggan, this is Tom Hanks from A League of Their Own. Reggie Dunlop, this is Paul Newman in Slapshot, another player coach. Who's going to coach your church softball team?
When I think of my church softball team, I think of a ragtag group, a group who, the talent just isn't there, but the heart is. And there's no coach that I think would do a better job at managing that than Patches O'Houlihan.
Oh, great one.
Hank Azaria's character from Dodgeball, I just think that's the best way to go there.
That's
Okay.
a really good one. I do like that a lot. I think Beard or Ted Lasso both are great picks. Would be great vibes for a church softball team. Jimmy
This
Dugan,
this just in. This is huge news.
Breaking news.
two-time.
This is breaking news. Tucker
reigning
is a
defended
two-time.
two-time
Here's
back-to-back.
I got to give the full Northside Christian Softball League tournament champions, Division A.
Division 2. Yeah, that's not the slums. We're playing the top.
Wow.
Who's this guy that clearly did not bring his team shirt?
Is that the coach?
That's Levi. No, that's Levi. He
A ringer.
Yeah, he was running camps. He's a quarterbacks coach for a local high school, so he was coming
Okay.
there. There's a former 9-year MLB vet standing in the back there also.
Okay, so your team is not really fitting this. This seems like a legit team. Like this
Who
this
is
This
that
team's
guy?
very good.
You
We
don't-
could play Justin Masterson. You'd know him. He pitched for
Yeah.
the Indians for a long time. So he lives in Fishers and is good friends with one of my buddies. He doesn't go to our church. He's like the only one on our team that doesn't go to our church, actually. So we don't have a bunch of ringers except for the former MLB player. But he was a pitcher. So
Besides the former
was a pitcher.
professional baseball player.
he was a pitcher. He is 6'6", 230 and
Okay.
hits the ball mile. But he was a pitcher.
Does he pitch for you guys?
No, he doesn't. He plays first base. But anyways,
like a
I
missed
wanted
opportunity.
to send that to you guys.
Do you
That's for
need a
your
coach?
own- your own liking.
So if you're forced to pick a coach, you guys have a coach?
We do have somebody who's designated as one, but it's kind of by committee sometimes. But I think, and I'll say this, for a church softball team, maybe a stretch. If you're playing city league, Jimmy Dugan from A League of Their Own is the guy you want.
That's a great one.
Yelling at you,
Tom Hanks.
just huge lip of chawing the whole time.
Yeah, there's no
screaming at
crying
people,
in
taking it way too
softball.
seriously. Just he's the guy for it. But Beard would be incredible in
He would. It's the glasses,
a
the
softball
hat.
league.
It's the whole style. Like he's probably cracking a few cold ones on the bench.
I peg Beard as more of my daughter's soccer coach.
Okay, that's a good one. That's a good one. That might be coming up in a future category, Mike. I'm gonna go with Mike. I'm gonna go Patches O'Houlihan.
I like that pick.
I mean, it's what the movie's all about. It's if you could dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
If you can hit a hymn book, you can hit a softball.
Oh, I love it. Oh, this is great breaking news here on the show. We typically don't break news, but
Is that well? That's can't be. How breaking is that? That's how late are we to
it's
this
new for
story?
listeners.
Yep, good point.
It's new. It's for listeners. It's breaking news. All right, next one: best coach for an individual or Olympic sport. Now we've talked a lot about the American sports. We've talked about soccer, but we want to really focus on the Olympic sports. Chubbs Peterson played back at the great late Carl Weathers and Happy Gilmore. Mickey Goldmill, Burgess Meredith, and Rocky, of course. Mick, as we know him. There's going to be a few Rocky franchise characters here. Tony Duke Evers, no pain, from the Rocky franchise. He is Apollo Creed's coach and then moves over to coach Rocky in the great film Rocky IV that we will be covering here on the podcast in the very near future. The Creed franchise, we have Rocky himself as a coach. So a couple Rocky selections here. Frankie Dunn, Clint Eastwood in $1 Million Baby. Mr. Miyagi in The Karate Kid. Irv Blitzer, John Candy in Cool Runnings.
That's a good one.
Anton Pimacheko, Roy Datrice in The Cutting Edge. Coach Robert, Craig T. Nelson, Blades of Glory. Who is the best coach for an individual or Olympic sport?
All right, so I'm gonna continue on with the theme here, where I'm gonna go off list.
I love it.
All right.
I love it.
And I'm going Doc Hudson from the movie Cars.
Okay.
Voiced
Yes.
by
Motorsports.
Paul Newman.
You know what? I appreciate that. And this is showing my bias. I did not have any motorsports in this. So that is definitely my fault, because there's a couple that we could add into that. I'm just thinking about Days of Thunder we have Robert Duvall's character. So you could actually have Robert Duvall, also another double from Kicking and Scream, but you could throw Robert Duvall as well in here.
What a reference.
F1, I don't know who you could throw in F1. You could put the racing team of F1, I guess.
Maybe what's the actor's name?
Javier Bardem.
Yeah, Javier Bardem.
He's not really a
maybe.
coach,
Not really a
but he would
coach.
win by default because of his
Honestly, Brad
handsomeness.
Pitt's a little bit of the coach, you know.
Ooh, that's a good point. But I like the Doc Hudson.
Player
That is
coach.
great. That is a good
love
one.
cars.
Great pull.
I have one now but it's there are some racing aspects in the Olympics. It does say individual sport, but it's still not a sport. I had one that popped into my head. This doesn't count, but Tom Cruise teaching you how to be a fighter pilot seems like
Ooh, and
somebody
Top Gun
I would really
Maverick,
want.
yes.
But it doesn't.
It's pretty
not a
physical.
sport, so I'm not gonna kid. But I know for sure.
I like it. I
I
it
love
though.
his teach job, but that doesn't really count. There are so many good things, so many good ones to pick from.
Does he count as a coach for The Last Samurai?
He's being coached. Oh no, he coaches them in the ways of
Yeah,
guns and steel.
something like that.
How to
yeah.
fight American cavalry.
But I'm gonna go a little chalky pick here and take Chubbs.
Chubbs is such a good one.
Chubbs is
Such a good one.
so
Such a
good.
funny character, like in the way that it was written. But I mean, Carl Weathers was just unbelievable. So it's chalky. It's easy. It's easy one to take, but I like it.
It's so
Does-
good. You
Does
could
Carl
Go ahead.
Carl Weathers arguably have the best film / TV coaching pedigree, because he also is a acting coach in Arrested Development, and he is
He does coach Rocky in Rocky 2.
Exactly.
Or Rocky 3.
Oh,
he
I forgot
coaches
about
him.
that. He is in Rocky 3, isn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even
Ooh.
think about that.
Wow.
Him
like,
and Gene
Mick is so
Hackman are up
good.
there.
He
Mr.
kinda,
Miyagi.
He's kind of coaching the team in Predator a little bit.
Oh, okay.
He doesn't do a good job. That's bad coaching. He's not transparent there. Ooh, man. I also, another Paul Newman you could throw in here that could kind of fit is the Hustler and Tom Cruise, because Paul Newman's coaching a young Tom Cruise to hustle, but that's not necessarily a sport. Billiards, I guess, that's on the edge of sport game, professional game.
I mean, look, if it's an Olympic sport and the idea is to be as fit as possible for your sport, do we go Tony Perkins from Heavyweights?
Yes. Now we're stretching it. Literally. Okay. I'm going to go with Chubbs Peterson. And I think we
I
could
like
just name
Chubbs.
this the Carl Weathers Award now that we have
That
figured
can just
out.
be the chalky pick. I think that one's that's a
Lot-
hard one not to pick.
This is a great category. There's a lot of good ones. We could have broken it down to two. I do love John Candy's character in Cool Runnings. It
So
shouldn't-
good.
It shouldn't work, but it does. That whole movie shouldn't work, but it does.
It's really funny.
It is a classic sports movie. I think one of the best parts about sports movies are sports that aren't the biggest sports, and that's why I think there's a lot of great coaches in this category, because I think sometimes the Olympic sports or the individual sports or sports that aren't the top big four in America sometimes have the best stories, because there's more there that we don't know typically as an audience, and there's more of, especially individuals, there's more of the individual journey rather than the big team journey. Where a football team, there's 50 players and you have to talk about the quarterback and the running back, the Booby Miles of the world, whereas a bobsled team, only a couple characters. It's great. That's a fun one, guys. These are good picks, but yeah, I think we got to give this one. This is the honorary. If we ever do this bestie again, we'll add it. This will be the Carl Weathers in memorandum bestie. All right. We talked about it already. Best coach to coach your kids. Whitey Durham, played by Barry Corbin in One Tree Hill. Gordon Bombay, played by Emilio Estevez in the Mighty Ducks franchise. Bill Yost, played by Will Patton in Remember the Titans. Norman Dale, Gene Hackman again in Hoosiers. Anna Montgomery, Olivia D'Abo in The Big Green. Danny O'Shea, Rick
Such
Moranis.
a good reference.
Yes, Rick Moranis. Not a lot of female coaches in movies and television. That's just a fact. Rick Moranis in Little Giants. Molly McGrath in Goldie Hawn in Wildcats. Didn't know about this movie. This is a movie where I think a teacher played by Goldie Hawn takes over as football coach. This is an 80s movie. A good find. And then Sean Porter, Dwayne Johnson in The Gridiron Gang. Best coach to coach your kids.
Yeah, going off list here again. Ken Carter has got to be on this list.
I
from
know.
Coach Carter.
I know. It's
a very holistic approach. He's worried about your kid's life, not just his performance on the court.
It's good. Again, there's so many in the Besties where we could have had a lot of crossover here. Ken Carter, yeah, and Coach Beard, you mentioned, Mike. This is good. I want to give a shout out to Whitey Durham in One Tree Hill. That guy is doing a lot of outside the game coaching. He is helping this very crazy family, all the relationships. He is the wise counsel Yoda in that special television show. It has a lot of ups and downs. So I got to give a shout out for him because
I'd like to change my pick.
Okay.
Roy Kent.
Roy Kent, yes, we didn't mention him yet.
He is actually a child's soccer coach.
Oh, you're right. I forgot. Season 2, we find him coaching his nieces. But he doesn't do a good job. Isn't that the whole point? Is the comedy is he's so intense.
No, he's probably doing a great job.
No. I think that's the whole joke. He's so intense in Ted Lasso, Roy Kent. Roy Kent is a great coach character. He's the player transitioning to a coach. I think it's one of the best versions of that.
I've got to add, but I'm going to go with somebody else. But I do have an ad because I think it's funny. It's a callback to one of my favorite movies my buddy and I still talk about because we used to watch it all the time. George Knox, Angels in the Outfield, Danny Glover.
Danny Glover.
So if you remember, was just very mean, very cold at the beginning, builds this relationship with the one foster child who's it's Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And then, befriends him. And then remember that scene towards kind of the end of the movie when he goes to the neighborhood park and plays baseball with all the kids and does all the things and ends up becoming this gray, soft-hearted dude and then adopts him at the end. So that's a fun storyline. But how do you not take Danny O'Shea halftime speech in the locker room talking about beating his brother down Cherry Hill one time? Only have to do it one time. It's hard to not take Danny O'Shea there, but
that's a good one.
There are so many good ones.
This is by far the toughest bestie I think we've ever
had.
Gordon Bombay. I mean, oh man, those
kind of a sleazebag, but in the first one a little bit, but also.
Well, they bring him back in 3 to have that emotional speech. He just has a cameo. Really good. If you want to do a deep dive on Emilio Estevez, he had this whole plot line for a reboot Mighty Ducks that he's talked about, where he comes back and coaches a women's team. It's really good. I think it's on the Happy Sad and Confused podcast. Definitely worth a listen. He does not give a lot of interviews, and he was in Chicago this summer for the
Very cool
Breakfast Club reunion. He has some opinions about the Mighty Ducks, but great character. We mentioned kids. Gotta give a shout out to the coaches in the movies where the kids are playing professional sports. Rookie of the Year and Like Mike.
Great one. Yeah.
Just to be able to coach a kid in those situations, gotta throw out there.
Henry Rowan Gardner.
The coaches from those movies. What one have we not talked about? Anna Montgomery, the Big Green.
Yeah. Unbelievable, by the way. That was such a great one.
Yeah,
so good.
It's such a good one. Yeah, it's tough bringing the sport to America, both in the story, but also the Big Green, a big soccer 90s soccer movie. We have an Indianan with us. How can we not talk about Norman Dale, Gene Hackman from Hoosiers?
You don't want to hear my opinion on it.
Ooh, this is overrated.
No, it's fine.
Overrated.
It's fine.
Overrated.
Hoosiers. It's just, it's fine. I like the movie, but I don't like it.
Worship at the feet of it as every.
Aren't you from Indiana?
Yeah, born and raised.
So Do you need to go in like witness protection or
Yeah,
anything?
should we? Yeah, we could cut this.
No, I'm fine to be on record saying it. The movie's fine. Gene Hackman's great in it. Um, it's not in my list of top
Wow.
5 sports movies.
Wow, we might have to just do that movie on a rewatch episode. Just
I'll watch it
good
with you
hot
again.
takes.
There's great lines in it. It's a good story, but
It's definitely one of those sports movies. I never really got into it. I think I was a little bit too old. It just felt overhyped. The obviously some, and we'll talk about the scenes. We'll get there. We'll talk about it a little bit more
yeah.
coming up.
Sorry, I didn't mean to get us off track there.
No, it's good. I love the hot take. I'm gonna shout out Bill Yost. He could have been in every one of these bestie categories.
Oh, yeah.
I think Remember the Titans. Again, we talk about generations. I think Hoosiers is a little bit older generation. I think for our generation, Remember the Titans is
Yep.
the sports movie. I watched it every year in August before football started. It came
number
out
one.
when I started playing sports, started playing football. It just This movie, every time I watched it, Audrey and I rewatched it last fall, and I cry, I get chills every time I watch it. Bill Yost, that combination of those two coaches, I think is so good because Bill Yost is a little bit more of the comforting, playing that assistant coach but he also is fiery as well, and he's successful. I just, man, and I could have had Bill Yost as a coach you don't want to coach against as well. I mean, we could have swapped those two, Herman Boone and Bill Yost. Definitely the staff I would want for sure. Those two as my staff. Guys, I don't think I can pick one. I think all these would be good to coach my kids. I'd be thrilled.
Yeah, I'll take them all.
I can't pick. I can't pick. I guess I would do Bill Yost for sure. Yeah. This is tough. Danny O'Shea though, that's just tough because like that's to me, like, with my actual children, that's the guy I'd want to coach.
It's good, but I mean, it's like you said, Anna. I mean, Anna Montgomery was so good at that one too. There's a lot of good ones. I don't know. I don't think you can go wrong. Sean
Okay.
Porter. I mean, Dwayne Johnson's never missed on a movie in his life. But,
Yeah,
man.
Let's just do this as a group. Everybody can, depending on where your kids are at age group, you can pick. This is a draw. It's okay. We're gonna allow it. All right, coming down to our final besties here. This is going to be an even tougher one. Best motivational speech / team talk. Two I want to shout out here before we get into it. The Swanson Pyramid of Greatness. This is the montage of Nick Offerman as Ron Swanson in Parks and Recreation, where he basically, I think the plot is they need coaches for the rec teams, and you have Ron Swanson coaching one team and then Andy Dwyer coaching the other. Andy Dwyer there's no rules. It's fun, singing, it doesn't matter. And then Nick Offerman creates the Swanson Pyramid of greatness, and it's one of the best scenes in that show. So shout out to Ron Swanson's motivation. I think crew cuts are the only thing. Capitalism,
High and tight.
Yep. I think fishing only for sport.
Yes.
And that's based off of John Wooden's Pyramid of Greatness.
For sure. Well, if you ever want to do a rewatch of that one, Luke, that's a big one. That's at the top of my list.
It's a great.
That's a great one.
It's a great one. Another one is it's an SNL sketch. It's a locker room moment. It's with Will Forte and Peyton Manning. If you haven't watched this is very tough to watch because they don't have the rights to the music, so you really can't find this on YouTube anywhere. But essentially, Will Forte comes in. It's a high school boys' locker room, and they're down, and he kind of talks about, when I was a kid, when I was playing, and I needed to get motivated, my coach would play this song, and he starts playing this absurd song, which is actually the theme to the 1968 Casino Royale comedy. And it's this silly 60s music, and Will Forte goes off and starts dancing just in the most absurd way. It is one of my favorite sketches, and everyone's laughing. Peyton's laughing. All the Jason Sudeikis is in that. They're all laughing because Will is just, as he does in SNL and everything, it just goes all out. And then the joke is Peyton Manning's character starts dancing as well. If you can find it on Peacock or wherever, check out that locker room motivation. One of my favorite sketches of all time. All right, let's moving into the actual speeches. There's a lot of great ones. Jack Lingyell, We Are Marshall, Matthew McConaughey. Wow, powerful speech based off a true story. Herb Brooks, This Is Your Time, another true story. We'd mentioned Herb. One of the great. This is part of this run that Disney goes on after the Remember the Titans. They start making these based off a true story. Glory Road's another one, but
Great one.
I think Miracle and Remember the Titans are the ones that really stand the test of time.
Yep.
We have The Perfect Speech from Friday Night Lights. That's the movie. Another great one. Another one that was around the time I started playing football, and yes, that was watched many times. And then the Friday Nights TV show, Clear Eyes, Full Hearts, Can't Lose, iconic. Game of Inches, the Al Pacino Any Given Sunday speech. That one was definitely shared around the locker rooms before games when I was playing football. Definitely the highlight of that movie. I don't think a lot of people love that movie, but they love that speech scene. Norman Dale, in my book, We're Going to Be Winners, plus the slow clap. That's the iconic moment in Hoosiers. And all these are really the iconic moments in the movies. D2 Mighty Ducks. Ducks Fly Together.
Ducks Fly Together.
Oh, baby. That's good. There's so many to pick. It's okay. There's so many to pick in Remember the Titans, but I think the two that stand out to me are the Herman Boone Gettysburg speech. Now, this is technically not in or before or around the game. It's at training camp, but when we talk about chills moments, that is one. We blitz all night. Oh, the Bill Yost. That's I'm going to take you to the papers. That's any other ones that I miss, guys? That's just a gorgeous list of speeches.
Yeah, there's a lot of good speeches in Remember the Titans that aren't, and Varsity Blues for that matter, that aren't actually given by coaches.
Yes.
Moxon's halftime speech in their last games. Great.
Yeah, and then I can't remember the actor's name, but the perfect speech in the locker room by oh gosh, and Remember the Titans.
Billy Bob Thornton?
Nope, not
no,
Billy
it's
Bob
Julius.
Oh yeah, Julius.
Yeah, Julius.
Yeah, it's Julius.
Julius Campbell.
This team is perfect.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. That's a really good speech. I mean, if I got to pick one from this list, it's the Herb Brooks, This Is Your Time. I mean, that gets copied and pasted, every season for some other team. So
it's good. We could mention the Ted Lasso speeches. Believe is the one that stands out. I know we've already talked about Ted Lasso a lot, but oh man,
dude, this is impossible. This is a hard. You could put Herb Brooks, perfect from Friday Night Lights. Ducks Fly Together. That's more of a funny one because it's not really the same thing, but it's like there's like a little bit of comedy in it when he's like the roosters are crowing, the cattle that are spinning circles in the pasture, blah blah blah. But and then both of those ones from Remember the Titans. So I'm like, I don't know. Billy Bob Thornton, that halftime speech, the perfect speech in Friday Night Lights is
to the music, the explosions in the sky.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
I don't know.
Chills. Those are all really hard. I don't know that I don't
think we can pick one. I think for me, the Yost going off. It's my favorite sequences in movies in general. For context, the Titans are not playing well. The refs are clearly trying to throw the game. This is all hinging on Yost getting into the Hall of Fame. He confronts the referee and take you to the papers. Like he's like, it's the moment where Yost fully as a character, he's a conservative person. He's trying to play the peacemaker between all the changes happening in the school. And it's the moment where he sees his team, he sees what's happening, and he says, screw it, I don't care about the individual glory. And then he gets in there. I love this because it's about the game too. Petey whines and then he brings Gosling back in, and it's like it's a real coaching moment. I don't know, Tucker, from a coaching perspective, because we have that whole thing about that he's helping Petey and but in that moment in the fire, he's like, no, like we're gonna blitz all night. Like it's, I'm smiling just thinking about it. I can't stop. But to me, that one, like that's in the game. It's the most like it is. There's so much hinging on that character, and that's when the character turns. So if I had to pick one, that would be it for me.
Yeah, it's a great one.
We can't pick
Don't
it.
want them to gain another yard.
Another yard. Ugh. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go play right now.
Ever. I did play the Titans.
And that's the whole. It's the like the name of the movie.
So good. Yeah. It's great.
Oh, oh, man. Okay, we'll just call this a tie. There's a lot of ties here. The last bestie here. This might be impossible, but I guess I want to tie this one to you guys. Best coach from movies and TV. I want you guys to think about what's the coach that means something to you from movies and TV that maybe inspired you. So I don't think we can pick the best one. We could pick best objectively, best one that is bringing all the intangibles of like, what's the best coach for you when you think about a coach for movies and TV that means something to you?
Yeah, I mean, I'll go first. This is easy for me. There's a lot. I mean, I love most of the people I think on the list that we have, but Herman Boone is the one. I mean, Remember the Titans was the movie. It's still one of my all-time favorite movies. I think it's the best sports movie that's ever been made, and I don't know that anything's particularly close, in my opinion. I love a lot of the other ones. Like I said, I love Major League. Miracle's incredible. Friday Night Lights. I love all these movies, but Remember the Titans always will be one for me. And I think just the way, and it's like based off some real things that went down, but I just think Denzel is just such an incredible actor, and the way that story is portrayed and the way that he carries out that character is, for me, it's my favorite. It's always going to be probably my favorite, I think, from a full 360 view of what all goes into to what that means to really pick a coach. I mean, like I said, there's some other ones that are fun. And Gary Gaines, honestly, Friday Night Lights Billy Bob is a close one too. Just those football movies were iconic when I was growing up, when I was playing football. Like, they just meant so much to me. I know, look, you've mentioned similar things, but to me, it's Herman Boone. I just, I love that character so much and still do. So it's, yeah.
Mike?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel drawn to Herb Brooks.
Yeah.
That story.
Kurt Russell also playing hockey, being an athlete himself. We got to throw that out there. It's an incredible performance.
Yeah. And that movie, I mean, Remember the Titans and Miracle were the two sports movies for me growing up. And so at risk of not, wanting to repeat Tucker's Choice, but I mean, I don't know. Herb Brooks always stood out to me as just like the quintessential like motivator coach who just knew what the right thing to do.
Yeah. I'm going to be boring. I'm just going to say that Remember the Titans, the TC Titans staff, not TC Titans. That's the high school I grew up in.
TC Williams.
TC Williams. The TC Williams staff, besides the one that leaves, is my pick. I've already said it. These characters and the story meant so much to me. I also, when I think about best coach for movies and TV, the coach that means the most to me, I think about like my favorite coaches on my favorite team. Shout out to the 7th and 8th grade Forest Hills Eastern football team. Shout out to Coach Sukup. There was that mixture of, you had a coach that was a leader, that was tough, that had rules. We couldn't drink pop. We had to have, of course, grade level average. We weren't allowed at games to let like a girl wear our jerseys to the game. Only like our sisters or like moms could wear our jerseys. It was very strict, but part of that was like bringing our collective together. And they were all volunteers. He was the dad of one of the guys on the team who played offensive line with me. He was a former Marine. And so it was very intense. Like, same thing with Herman Boone. Like, getting pushed, like they're like the whole water scene, like it wasn't like that, but it reminds me of that. And then as Herman Boone also had really good coaches around him, Bill Yost being one of them. And I think when I think about my favorite team that I was on and the best team on paper, it was very reflective of what was happening with Remember the Titans, where it was like discipline, collective, but also like joy in the team and success. And so that team on Remember the Titans sideline is are my best coaches from movies and TV. But there's so many great ones, and honestly, I hope we have more, because I think about the last 10 years, I think Ted Lasso obviously stands out, but we've kind of, the sports movie, I think we've lost a little bit of momentum, and maybe it's just age, but maybe we do need to greenlight a volleyball movie to get another great coach in on the game. All right, friends, thank you for going on this journey. We've gained a lot of inspiration, a lot of tactical acumen. Thank you guys for going on this journey with me. Please share with us your favorite coaches from TV and movies. Is there ones we missed that we didn't talk about? Let us know on our socials, email, or on Patreon. Next week, we're getting into the spooky season with a special horror movie rewatch episode. And until next time, we'll talk to you soon, friends. Thanks, Mike and Tucker.